FOMO, or the fear of missing out, is something we all experience, and it can lead us into making some pretty stupid decisions. In this video, we'll talk about how FOMO manifests itself in our personal finances or investing, how we can identify it, and my strategies for overcoming FOMO. And we're going to do it all in 5 minutes or less, because today is another 5-Minute Friday. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Jay, and on this channel, I give you the tools, the tips, and the tactics that you need to get the most out of your money. And today, we're talking about FOMO, or the fear of missing out, and what we can do to overcome it. So let's put 5 minutes on the clock and get into it. If you've ever been sitting at home in your sweatpants, scrolling through Instagram, and you come across some of your friends' vacation photos, and you get that sense of anxiety down deep that, wow, they're out there living their best life, and I'm sitting here on my couch eating ice cream, I'm totally missing out. Or if a neighbor brings home a brand spanking new car, you turn and look at your car that's a year old and think, oh, time for me to upgrade. You know exactly what FOMO is. The fear of missing out is something we all experience when it comes to our money, and following it can lead us to making some pretty bad and irresponsible decisions. Over the past few months, it would only be natural to be sitting there wondering, why don't I take my whole investment portfolio and throw it into tech stocks? Because they've been going to the moon, and if I had all my money there, I could be going to the Lambo dealership right now. And that sensation only gets compounded by things like social media and YouTube and whatever else. When you can see YouTube videos about someone who made $3 million investing in Tesla over the past few months, or the numerous similar stories that people are out there sharing on various social media platforms. And even someone like me, who will sit here in video after video telling you to take a balanced, rational approach to investing, and people who are doing that kind of thing aren't really investing, they're gambling, just trying to make a quick score. But I'm not immune to it either. I see those videos, I see those posts, I see the stories about these people making all this money by just throwing their entire net worth into one or two stocks. So while we know that's not the right approach and that's not what we should do, it's just a FOMO taking hold and trying to push us into making a bad decision, how do we overcome that fear of missing out so that we can stay the course and stay sane in the process? So the first way that I deal with and overcome this FOMO in my investing is to remind myself exactly what I own. Now, the number one single biggest holding that I have in all of my different investment accounts combined is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, or ETF, ticker symbol VTI. I've talked about it many times. Out of everything that I own, that fund makes up my single largest holding. It's the single largest portion of my net worth outside of my house. And what are the largest stock holdings in that Total Stock Market Index Fund? You guessed it. Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, all these tech stocks that we're kind of getting jittery about missing out on the run on, we're not missing out if we hold these index funds because they make up the largest part of the indexes. And that's one of the big advantages to index investing and holding something like VTI, which is Vanguard's Total Stock Market Index Fund. It will always hold the largest publicly traded companies out there. So for better or worse, you always have exposure to it. So while it's certainly more fun to talk about and invest in individual stocks, by sticking to our index fund strategy, we are owning those stocks and we're not missing out on the gains that they're making. The next part of my strategy on how to overcome FOMO investing is to give yourself a fund portfolio. Now, this is what I do with my Robinhood and my Webull accounts. In Robinhood, I'm having fun picking individual dividend stocks, trying to take that portfolio from $0 to $100,000, and I'm making a video series out of it as well, which you should hit the subscribe button so you don't miss. In Webull, I'm investing in some growth stocks, trying to hit that home run, get that big returner stock. But The key to having a fun portfolio like this is just limit it to a very small percentage of your overall holdings. Now, I'm only going to take 5 or 10% of my overall portfolio and invest it in individual stocks in these two accounts. But that's enough to scratch the itch. I get to have a little fun picking out individual stocks, and it keeps that fear of missing out at bay. I did the same thing when it comes to cryptocurrency. Bitcoin was going to the moon back in 2017, so I took a small percentage of money and started buying Bitcoin and some other cryptocurrencies. Just so I'm in on it, I have some exposure on it, but it's not really a significant portion of my investments. It's just enough to scratch that itch and make sure I'm not sitting there lying awake at night wondering, why didn't I invest in this? Why didn't I put any money in that? Because that will drive you nuts. Now, even aside from seeing stocks or sectors or whatever that are really making huge gains that you may or may not be invested in, FOMO can manifest itself in your investing within your own portfolio. Now, like I said, my number one holding across my investment portfolios is VTI, the Total Stock Market Index Fund from Vanguard. But I also hold a Total World Index Fund, a Bond Index Fund, and a Real Estate Index Fund. And there are plenty of times, especially with the World Market Index Fund, where you just see that lagging behind and not making the gains that your other investments are making. So the strategy on how to overcome this sort of FOMO is to know why you're invested in what you're invested in. Now, I own that World Index Fund and the Real Estate Index Fund and the Bond Market Index Fund, in addition to that total US Stock Market Index Fund for purposes of diversification. And whether you want to call it a feature or a bug, for better or worse, different asset classes and different markets around the world are going to perform differently at different times. So while the US market has been red hot lately, some of the international markets haven't been, and they've been lagging behind, so those funds aren't growing as quickly. Now, in 1, 2, or 5, or even 10 years, that script could totally flip, where the US is in a deep recession and the European and Asian stock markets are performing really well. And in that case, it's going to be that World Index Fund carrying my portfolio while I'm over here looking at VTI like, hey, come on, what are you doing? Pick it up. So knowing what you're invested in and why you're invested in it, it'll keep you from making rash decisions and help you stay the course of the plan you've developed. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, now's a great time to hit that like button down below. It tells YouTube to spread this video to other people so they can see it. Don't get FOMO on missing out on my other videos, so hit that subscribe button right now. So those are the ways that I keep myself from acting on the fear of missing out. It's how I keep myself sticking to my investing strategy, because while certain sectors or certain stocks may be red hot right now and you have the fear of missing out on those gains, if you were to put your entire net worth into those stocks and things turn south, that fear of missing out would quickly turn into a fear of being in, where you'd be sitting there overexposed to these stocks that are falling rapidly, and that would be possibly even worse. So I hope this video helped you calm your nerves. I hope it helped you realize that you're not really missing out on all those gains if you are index investing like I am. And again, if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up down below. It really helps me out. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any other videos. And sign up for my new Facebook group. The link is down below. I'll put it in the top comment. You can hop over there. We can talk about all things investing and personal finance. We can all become better investors together. And finally, click on one of the 2 videos that's about to appear next to my face. They'll make you better investors, and I hope to see you over there. I just spent half an hour messing with the lights behind me because the app on my phone decided to not be able to find the light, so I had to reinstall the app, update all the settings. First world problems, being able to turn on your lights with your cell phone.